So there's this story about a guy whose wife said 3 words to him one Tuesday night in their kitchen. Don't touch me. No fight before it, no argument leading up to it, nothing. Just 3 words, room temperature, like she'd been practicing them in her head for weeks. And instead of getting angry or begging or doing the whole, what did I do wrong thing, he just complied. Completely. Moved to the couch, pulled out a notebook, and started documenting every single day that followed. She thought she had the upper hand. She didn't know he was 3 weeks ahead of her the whole time. Let's get into it. She said don't touch me, so I never did again, and now she is fuming. I've been sitting on this for a few months now, trying to figure out if it's even worth posting. But people keep asking what happened, so here it is. I'm 41, civil engineer for a county government office, roads, drainage systems, erosion control. Not glamorous, but I'm good at it, and it pays steady. My name's Owen. I've been married to Nina for 13 years. We have a son named Finn who just turned 9 and thinks everything about erosion is the coolest thing he's ever heard. He's right, for the record. We met at a county planning meeting downtown about 14 years ago. Nina was coordinating community projects for a nonprofit at the time. Organized, sharp, the kind of woman who remembered everyone's name after one introduction and made you feel like the most interesting person in the room. She had this way of listening to you that made you feel like whatever you were saying actually mattered, even if it was just you rambling about storm drainage permits. I thought she was way out of my league. Somehow she didn't see it that way. We got married that fall. Finn came 3 years later. For a long stretch, life was exactly what we'd built it to be. Saturdays at the park with Finn on my shoulders. Sunday dinners where Nina would put on some playlist and pretend she could dance. I'd pretend right back. We'd drive to Clover Lake on warm weekends and just sit by the water while Finn threw rocks until his arm got tired. There were years in there that were genuinely solid, the kind where you don't appreciate them until later, because you assume there's always going to be more of them. The shift started maybe 6 months before any of this went sideways. Hard to pinpoint exactly when because it crept in gradual, the way erosion actually works. Not a sudden collapse, but slow, consistent wear that you only notice once something gives. Dinner got quieter. Not tense, just empty. Nina on her phone more, scrolling, occasionally looking up with a smile that stopped below her eyes. I'd ask about her day. Fine. Movie tonight? Tired? Long weekend coming up? Want to do anything? Maybe. Each one of those one-word answers was a door shutting, and I kept walking past them telling myself it was just stress or a phase or both. One Saturday morning, I heard her on the phone with her college friend Donna. Donna's been divorced twice and talks about men the way people talk about appliances that stopped working mid-cycle. Functional once, frustrating now, probably not worth repairing. They'd been close since college, and I'd always kept my distance from whatever Donna was selling. I was in the hallway with my coffee when I heard Nina laugh and say, I know. It's like living with furniture that expects a thank you. She was talking about me. I stood in that hallway until my coffee went cold. That night, I almost said something. I had a whole sentence ready. But I looked at Nina across the table, and she was already somewhere else, half smiling at her screen, and I told myself maybe I was reading too much into it. 6 months of rough patch, and I kept trying in the small, quiet ways I knew how. I fixed the kitchen faucet she'd been complaining about for 2 months. Booked a dinner reservation at the Italian place downtown she'd mentioned once. She canceled with a headache. Rescheduled it. She spent most of that dinner on her phone. I told myself maybe she was stressed about work. I'm pretty good at telling myself things when I don't want to hear the alternative. Then it was a Tuesday night in March. I was at the kitchen sink drying the last plate from dinner. Finn was upstairs humming something from a video game, feet dangling off his bed. Normal evening, garlic bread smell still in the air, nothing unusual about any of it. Nina walked past me toward the fridge. I put my hand on her shoulder, not grabbing, not pulling. Just the way I'd done probably 10,000 times before over 13 years. She stopped, looked at my hand like it was something stuck to the bottom of her shoe. Don't touch me. 3 words. Not whispered, not said in anger. Said at room temperature with the kind of precision that tells you someone's been holding that sentence in their mouth for a while. My hand dropped. My chest went hollow. Not tight. Hollow. Like something opened a valve and everything drained out at once. Okay. I walked to the hallway closet, grabbed the old quilt, carried it to the living room couch, and lay down. I stared at the ceiling for about 45 minutes. I could hear Nina's footsteps upstairs, the bathroom faucet running, then nothing. I wasn't making a point. I wasn't trying to punish her or execute some strategy I'd read somewhere. I just didn't have anywhere inside me left to go to her. She said, "Don't touch me," and my body listened before my brain even caught up. Hold on. For anyone listening, this is your host jumping in real quick. Because I need you to sit with what just happened. He didn't yell, didn't slam a door, didn't do that thing guys do where they sulk in the garage for 40 minutes, then come back pretending nothing happened. He heard, "Don't touch me," said okay, and went to the couch. That's it. Nina expected him to beg, expected flowers and a speech and him trying harder. And instead, she got a man who just took her at her word. Which is genuinely the most terrifying thing you can do to someone who didn't actually mean what they said. Buckle up. Wednesday morning. Up before everyone else, made coffee, packed Finn's lunch, turkey sandwich, apple slices, that little note I always slip in. Been doing that since first grade, it just became the routine. Left for work without saying good morning to Nina. I didn't think about it. I just didn't. That night at dinner, I talked to Finn about his science project. Erosion, how rivers carve canyons over time. His eyes lit up, explaining the whole process like he'd invented it. Nina watched me from across the table. "You're quiet tonight," she said. "Long day," I told her. She went back to her phone. By Thursday, I'd started carrying a small notebook in my jacket pocket. Not because of a plan, because of something my friend Wade Foxworth had told me maybe 2 years earlier at a diner over coffee. If things ever go sideways, Owen, write it down. Dates, times, what was said. You think you'll remember. You won't. And a courtroom doesn't care what you felt. It cares what you can prove. I'd forgotten that advice completely until this week. I pulled the notebook out at lunch and wrote, Tuesday, March 4th, kitchen, 7:45 p.m. N stated, "Don't touch me. No argument proceeding. No provocation." Wednesday, March 5th. No conversation initiated by N. No inquiry about sleeping arrangement. Couch night 2. It felt clinical. Good. Clinical was something I could hold on to. Friday evening, Finn was at a friend's house for a sleepover. Nina stood in the kitchen doorway while I was reading on the couch. "Are you coming to bed?" "I'm good here." 5 seconds of silence. I could feel her trying to calculate what had changed and why it wasn't correcting itself. "Whatever," she said, and turned and walked away. I wrote it down. Saturday, she made blueberry pancakes. My favorite, ones she hadn't made in probably 2 years. Set a plate in front of me with a careful smile. I said thanks, ate them, washed my plate, and went to mow the lawn. I wasn't punishing her. I wasn't running some revenge arc from a podcast. She wanted distance, and I gave her every inch of it. But to Nina, it was supposed to be temporary, like snapping at a dog that jumps on people. She expected me to flinch, apologize, come back with something. The old version of me would have been halfway through an apology before she even finished the sentence. This version just mowed the lawn. Sunday night, 1 week exactly. Nina came into the living room at 10. I was on the couch with a notebook and a glass of water. "Why are you sleeping out here?" I looked up. "You told me not to touch you." This seemed like the clearest way to respect that. I didn't mean... She had the look of someone who started a sentence and had no idea where it was going. For maybe the first time in our 13-year marriage, Nina Yates had no words ready. Her mouth opened, closed. She went upstairs without another sound. I wrote it down. Sunday, March 10th, 10:15 p.m. N asked about sleeping arrangement. I referenced her statement of March 4th. N did not dispute. Returned upstairs without resolution. Monday morning, I called Wade from the parking lot at work. "How bad?" he asked. "I don't know yet, but I want to know where I stand." Wade gave me a name, Frank Hamill, family law attorney downtown. "Not flashy," Wade said. "Doesn't put his face on bus benches. But he's the one you want when things need to be properly documented." I called that afternoon. Frank could see me Thursday. Tuesday evening. Nina tried something new. She came home with food from that Thai place on Henson Street we used to love. Set it all out on the table with candles, the good plates, the whole production. I sat down, ate, told her it was good, helped clean up. She touched my arm as I passed her at the sink. I didn't flinch, didn't pull away. I just kept moving like her hand was weather passing through. Her eyes tracked me to the couch. Owen, are we okay? I don't know, Nina. Are we? She didn't answer. I wrote it down. Pause. That's me again, not Owen. I want to name what Nina is running here because it's textbook. Cold shoulder, no reaction from him, then pancakes and candles and a hand on the arm at the sink. She's cycling between cold and warm, trying to get a rise out of him. And he's not biting. Not because he's playing games, but because the tank is genuinely empty. There's a difference between pulling away to get a reaction and pulling away because there's nothing left to pull from. She's trying to fill a tank that isn't even in the garage anymore. And the worst part for her? He's writing down every single move. Keep going. Thursday, March 14th. Frank Hamill's office. Wood paneling that probably hadn't been updated since the late 80s. Coffee on the burner since morning. Frank was maybe 60. Wire-rimmed glasses, patient eyes. The kind of man who listens like he's getting paid by the silence rather than the words. I showed him the notebook. He read for 3 full minutes without saying anything, then looked up. You're an engineer. Yeah. I can tell. He set the notebook down. Kansas is no fault. But pattern of behavior matters, especially in custody and property division. If she initiated the rejection of the marital relationship and you simply complied, that's not abandonment on your part. That's compliance with her stated wishes. I asked what happened if she told a different version of events to people. Frank took off his glasses and cleaned them slowly. That's exactly why you keep writing. I left his office with a retainer agreement and a weight in my stomach. Not about the money, about the fact that this was real now. I was building a record of my own marriage falling apart, one dated entry at a time. The drive home felt longer than it ever had before. The week after the attorney visit was the strangest one yet. I'd go to work, review drainage specs, answer emails, eat lunch at my desk, drive home, talk to Finn about whatever he was working on in school, lie down on the couch. Repeat. I wasn't waiting for anything. I wasn't plotting. I was just existing in the space I'd been given and writing down what happened in it. At one point, Nina walked past me in the kitchen while I was writing in the notebook and paused. What is that anyway? Just a journal, I told her. She watched me for a second, then kept walking. I wrote that down too. The following Saturday, Wade called me with a careful voice. His wife Megan had run into Donna at a social gathering on Kansas Avenue, and Donna was out there telling people that I'd gone cold. That Nina had been reaching out and I kept shutting her down. That I'd moved to the couch and refused to come back. I sat in my truck in the driveway. Engine off, hands on the steering wheel. 10 minutes. I didn't move. She told me not to touch her. And now she was telling people that I'm the one who pulled away. I opened the notebook. Saturday, March 16th. Per Foxworth via his wife. D. Marsden telling mutual acquaintances that I initiated the physical and emotional withdrawal. Narrative directly contradicts documented events of March 4th. The anger, when it came, didn't come loud. It came cold and quiet, like ice forming on a pipe you can't see until the pressure builds. Wait. For the listeners out there, that's me jumping in again. Because I need a second here. Donna, who's collected 2 divorce settlements and apparently considers herself a tactical advisor, is out there at social gatherings spinning a narrative that he walked away? That's not gossip. That's groundwork for a legal argument. She's building the story before the papers even get filed. And Owen is sitting in his truck in the driveway, holding a notebook with 18 days of documented receipts. That's not a guy running from the situation. That's a guy who read the Fire Festival pitch deck and already bought flight insurance. Let's keep going. The next 2 weeks, I watched Nina's cycle run, and I wrote down every single turn. Monday, sweet. Coffee waiting on the counter with a note. Have a great day. Tiny heart drawn in blue pen. I said thanks. Left for work. Tuesday, she texted me at lunch. Thinking about you. Hope your day's going well. I wrote back, thanks. 1 word. Same energy she'd given me that Tuesday night in March. Wednesday, she reached for my hand during Finn's school concert. I let her take it. Didn't squeeze back. Her fingers tightened, then dropped. Afterward in the parking lot, she said he played so well. I said he did. She waited for more. There wasn't more. Thursday, 22 straight hours without a single word directed at me. Not one. I counted because that's what I do now. I wrote it down. Friday, she told Finn, bedroom door open, loud enough for me to hear from the couch. Daddy's choosing to sleep downstairs, sweetheart. I don't know why either. My jaw tightened. I wrote it down with the exact time. Saturday morning. Explosion. You're being so childish. Sleeping on a couch like some teenager who got his feelings hurt. You told me not to touch you. That was one time, Owen. Once. Once was enough. So this is punishment? Making me feel invisible? I'm doing exactly what you asked. If that feels like punishment, that's something worth looking at. She slammed a cabinet door hard enough to rattle every glass on the shelf, then a drawer. Then she stood in the middle of the kitchen with her arms crossed, waiting for me to react. I picked up the notebook from the counter, sat down at the kitchen table, and wrote it all down while she watched. Date, time, every word she said. Verbatim. She left the room without saying anything else. Saturday night, she came downstairs at 11 and stood at the edge of the living room in the dark. We both knew I was awake. I can't sleep, she said. I'm sorry to hear that. Please just come upstairs. I can't, Nina. She stood there for almost a full minute, then went back up. I heard her crying through the ceiling. Quiet, steady, the kind that sounds real. Maybe it was, but I didn't know anymore which version of her I was hearing, and that was the part that kept me on the couch. Sunday morning, I made breakfast for Finn. Eggs, toast, the whole thing. Nina came downstairs and I made her a plate too without saying anything. She sat down, ate, said thank you in a quiet voice. I nodded. That was it. 15 minutes at the same table without a word. And somehow it was the least uncomfortable morning we'd had in 3 weeks. Finn ate his eggs and told us both about a documentary he'd watched about underwater volcanoes. We both listened. It was fine, actually. Just fine. Sunday afternoon, family drive to Clover Lake. Finn threw rocks in the water. Nina stood close to me, not touching, but testing the distance. I didn't move toward her or away. You used to hold my hand here, she said quietly. I didn't say anything back. We both watched Finn skip a stone across the surface. 3 times, maybe. Wait, no, 2. Whatever, doesn't matter. That evening I was carrying groceries in through the side door when I heard Nina's voice from the garage. Low, urgent. She was on the phone with Donna. He's not reacting to anything, Donna. I tried the candles. I tried the Thai food. I even cried in front of him. Nothing. He just writes in that notebook. I stopped. Stood completely still, bags in each hand. What notebook? I don't know what's in it. He carries it everywhere. I put the groceries down quietly, walked back out to the car, came in through the front door, loud enough for her to hear. Then I sat down on the couch and wrote down every word I'd just overheard. Time-stamped, verbatim. Monday night, Finn found me on the couch. He sat down on the floor next to me with his cereal bowl. That had become his new routine, apparently. Dad, did you and Mom have a fight? No, buddy. Adults just need space sometimes. He looked at me with those eyes 9-year-olds aren't supposed to have yet. She was crying in the car today when she picked me up from school. She didn't think I noticed. My chest cracked, just a hairline fracture. I didn't let it show. Sometimes grown-ups have hard days. He thought about this for a moment. The couch isn't good for your back, though. It's not that bad. I could bring you my dinosaur pillow. It's really soft. I pulled him in and held on for a long time. He didn't seem to mind at all. Stop right there. The dinosaur pillow just cracked me, and I refuse to be alone in that. Kid's 9, noticed his mom crying in the car, offers his best pillow to his dad on the couch. This boy has more emotional intelligence than both adults in the house combined. But here's what I need you to notice. Owen shows up for Finn every single day through all of this. The lunch note, the erosion project conversation, the school concert. Whatever is falling apart with the marriage, this man did not check out on his kid. Not once. Hold that detail. It matters a lot for how this ends. The following Thursday, Wade told me something that rewrote every scene I'd been living through for the past month. We were at a diner. He set his coffee down and lowered his voice. I wasn't sure I should say this. Pause. Megan was at Donna's book club last week, and Donna was walking Nina through something. Step by step. Push him out emotionally. Make him leave the bedroom. Once he's been out long enough, You file and claim constructive abandonment. His abandonment. You get the house, favorable custody position, the whole thing. The diner noise disappeared. Just my pulse and the coffee cooling in my cup. She's been coaching her. Every scene from the past month rearranged itself right there at the table. The rejection on March 4th wasn't spontaneous. It was a starting pistol. The confusion about the couch wasn't real confusion. The narrative she'd been spreading to friends wasn't careless gossip. It was a sequence. Donna Marsden drew the blueprint and Nina had been following the steps. The Thai food, the pancakes, the hand at the sink, the crying through the ceiling. Every one of those things was a move in a game she'd been coached to play. The kitchen moments I'd been reading as maybe genuine, scripted, the March 22nd emotional breakdown, a checkpoint, not a crack. I thought about that Sunday morning with the eggs. How quiet it was. How it had felt almost normal. I'd been sitting there thinking maybe things were just slowly resetting on their own. And now I was wondering if that had been a move too. If Donna had suggested that one as well. Act calm. Let him see a version of normal. Make him wonder if he's overreacting. I couldn't know for sure. That's the thing about finding out someone's been running a play. Suddenly you don't know which moments were real and which were theater, and the two versions start to blur together until you can't trust your own read of anything. The notebook in my jacket wasn't paranoia. It was the only honest thing left in the house. I drove home and called Frank from the back porch. I know what's happening now, I said. I walked him through all of it. Frank was quiet for 10 seconds. Is Wade willing to sign a statement? I'll ask him tonight. Do that, and don't stop writing. Every entry she can't dispute is another brick in your foundation. I called Wade back. He didn't even hesitate. I'll write it out tonight. Megan was standing right there when Donna said it. She'll sign too. I hung up and sat on the porch step a while. Stars out, cold and bright over the yard. Through the kitchen window, I could see Nina clearing the dinner dishes, looking completely normal. Looking like a woman just washing plates. And I realized, the woman I'd overheard in the garage reporting to Donna, that nothing was working, that I wasn't reacting. She wasn't confused or frustrated. She was checking in with her coach, running the play and asking why the results weren't matching the projection. Next day, I went back to Frank with the garage call notes. He read them twice. She's documenting your withdrawal for her case, he said, and you're documenting her orchestration of that withdrawal for yours. He looked up. The difference is yours has dates. Hers has Donna Marsden. Friday night, March 22nd. I walked in the door and Nina was sitting at the kitchen table. No candles, no takeout. Just her hands flat on the surface in front of her, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her look. I miss you, she said. The way her voice cracked on the second word, the way her eyes were already wet before she finished the sentence. That didn't sound like Donna's playbook. That sounded like Nina, the real one. The woman who cried before we'd even said our vows. Who held Finn for 3 hours straight when he had a fever at 4 months old. Who used to fall asleep with her head on my chest and her hand over my heart like she was making sure it was still there. I miss you too, I said. And I meant it. That's the part that still gets me. Every word of that was real. She stood up, crossed the kitchen, put her forehead against my chest. I could feel her breathing, the trembling in her shoulders. For 10 full seconds we were back, both of us in our own kitchen, 3 weeks of silence dissolving like it never happened. I almost put my arms around her. Almost. Then her phone buzzed on the table. She pulled back just slightly to glance at it. Text from Donna. 3 words on the preview. Is he buying it? She flipped the phone face down. But I'd already read it. The kitchen didn't change. Same light, same leftover garlic bread smell, same tile under my feet. But something behind my ribs turned to concrete in about 2 seconds flat. I need some air, I said. Walked out the back door, sat on the porch step. March night in Topeka, cold enough to see my breath in the dark. I pulled out the notebook, hands steady. That surprised me. Friday, March 22nd, 8:40 p.m. N expressed emotional vulnerability. Physical contact initiated by N. At 8:43 p.m., text received from D. Marsden. Is he buying it? N attempted to conceal message. Entire interaction appears coordinated. I sat out there until my fingers went numb. Then I went inside, lay down on the couch, and stared at the ceiling until morning. Tuesday, April 1st. Exactly 4 weeks since the kitchen. I came home from Frank Hamill's office with a manila folder. Inside, 28 days of dated entries in my handwriting. Wade's signed statement about what Megan overheard at the book club. A timeline Frank had assembled showing the full pattern. Rejection, narrative reversal, coached reconciliation attempts. The text. Every piece dated, every piece factual. Finn was at Wade's house for the evening. I'd arranged that at lunch. Nina was starting dinner. I set the folder on the kitchen table. "What's that?" she asked. "Sit down, Nina." She sat. I walked her through the whole thing. Not angry, no raised voice. The same tone I'd use presenting drainage findings at a county planning review. Clear, measured, documented. March 4th, what she said. March 10th, what she asked. March 16th, what Donna told people. March 22nd, the text. Her face moved through 4 expressions in under a minute. Confusion, recognition, fear, then something I'd never seen on Nina before. Raw, unfiltered panic. "Owen, Donna was just trying to help me feel like I had some control over what was happening. She coached you through a manufactured abandonment claim. Push me out of the bedroom, rewrite the story for our friends, build a file for court where I'm the one who left. I didn't want a divorce. Then what did you want?" Silence. Long enough that I could hear the kitchen faucet dripping. "I wanted you to fight for me." Almost a whisper. "You were supposed to get angry, push back. Show me you still cared enough to not just say, 'Okay, don't touch me' was supposed to be a test. You were supposed to fail it and come back anyway." There it was, the real thing underneath all the coaching and the performances and the hot and cold cycles. The belief that love means he fights even when you push. That his persistence proves devotion. That "don't touch me" has exactly one right answer, and it isn't compliance. That's not how I love, Nina. I love by listening. You said "don't touch me." I listened. I didn't mean forever. You didn't say temporarily. You said it like it was final. And then you spent 4 weeks telling people I was the one who walked away. She broke. Not the careful tears from the night of the text. Real ones, from somewhere deep, messy with sound. Her shoulders folded inward, her hands pressed into her face. Donna said if I didn't take control, I'd end up like her, alone with nothing. Her voice came out rough and small. I was scared. I'd been scared for months, and instead of just saying that to you, I let her convince me there was a smarter play, that I could control how this went. She looked up, mascara streaked, eyes red, afraid in a way she hadn't been afraid before. And instead, I built exactly what she has, twice over, a folder full of documented lies and an empty kitchen table. The silence that followed had weight, the kind you feel behind your sternum. Can we fix this? I don't know, but this folder goes to my attorney tomorrow regardless, because I don't let anyone rewrite my story, not even you. She nodded slowly, like she understood that. Like some part of her had known it was coming since she flipped the phone over and saw my face. Final update. Frank filed the petition the next morning. The hearing was quiet. He presented the notebook, 28 days, every entry in my handwriting. Wade's signed statement, the timeline. Nina's attorney tried to argue emotional distress on her behalf. The judge read the March 22nd text, set the folder down, and looked at Nina for a long time without saying a word. Primary custody went to me. Weekends and Wednesdays for Nina. The house stayed with Finn, which meant it stayed with me. 28 days of entries in a pocket notebook. That's what it came down to. 3 months later, June in Topeka. I'm on the back porch. Finn's running through the sprinkler, laughing the way only 9-year-olds laugh. Like the whole world is just water and sunlight, and absolutely nothing else matters. Nina picks him up on Fridays now. She's different, quieter. She stopped seeing Donna, or Donna stopped calling. I genuinely don't know which, and I don't ask. A few weeks after the hearing, Finn found the notebook on the kitchen counter. He picked it up, looked at the cover. "Dad, what's this?" "Just something I used to keep track of things, buddy." He flipped it open to a random page, squinted at the handwriting like he was trying to decode it. "It looks like work stuff." "Yeah, kind of like that." He set it down and went back to his cereal. I put the notebook in the kitchen drawer and haven't opened it since. Don't really need to anymore. Last Friday, Nina stood at the front door waiting for Finn to grab his overnight bag. She looked at me for a second. "I'm sorry," she said. "Not about the lawyers or the house, about that Tuesday. For saying 'don't touch me' when what I really meant was I didn't know how to let you in anymore. I think I hadn't known how in a long time. I nodded. I didn't tell her it was okay. It wasn't. But I heard her. Finn thundered down the stairs, backpack bouncing, hugged me hard. Bye, Dad. I'll bring the dinosaur pillow back Sunday. Okay, buddy. I watched them pull out of the driveway, poured a glass of water. Stood at the kitchen window for a minute, just looking at the backyard. The sprinkler still going. The porch step where I'd sat so many cold nights with the notebook on my knee. Then I went out and sat on that step again. She said, "Don't touch me." So I didn't. Didn't touch the marriage either. And it turned out those two things, the hand on the shoulder and the whole 13 years behind it, were always the same thing. Look, I'm not going to pretend Owen's some saint who did everything right in this marriage. But when the woman you've loved for 13 years says, "Don't touch me," and then spends a month building a legal case out of the fact that you listened, your only move is the notebook. Not a screaming match, not begging, not a big tearful speech, just dates, times, and the truth on paper. Courts don't care about feelings. They care about what's documented. He understood that before he ever talked to a lawyer. Drop your thoughts in the comments. What would you have done that first Tuesday night on the couch? And if you're not subscribed yet, hit the button. Next story's already loaded.
Hi everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we've got a one-story video from the subreddit Pro Revenge with 3 full updates, start to finish, full closure, and this one, I'm not gonna lie, this one made me set my phone down and just nod slowly for about 30 seconds, like a proud uncle at a graduation. Timestamps are below if you need them, but I'd ride this one straight through. Now let's get into it. This post is from the subreddit Pro Revenge and it's by a user we'll call Owen. Post posted to r/ProRevenge. My girlfriend told everyone I was temporary until her career took off. I didn't confront her, I just helped her transition. She returned to a house that wasn't hers anymore, accounts closed, and a note saying good luck going solo. Her panic came fast. Throwaway because people in this story are still very much active on social media and I don't need the inbox explosion. This is also long, real long, but the payoff's worth it. My girlfriend of 4 years called me her placeholder to her friends, her coworkers, and apparently her entire LinkedIn network at some point. She described me as temporary stability while she figured out her real life. I found out about all of it. I didn't confront her, I didn't yell, I just quietly helped her get exactly what she said she wanted, a life without me in it. She just didn't expect it to happen on my schedule. I'm Owen, 33, outside Richmond, Virginia. I'm an HVAC technician, commercial and residential. If your building is 96 degrees in August or your furnace dies on Christmas Eve, I'm the guy they call. I've been doing this since I was 20. Started as an apprentice, got my journeyman license at 23, master cert at 27. It's good work. Physical, problem solving, every system is different and every building has its own personality, which sounds weird, but if you've ever traced ductwork through a 70-year-old building, you know exactly what I mean. I make good money, not flashy money, the kind where you can pay your bills, save, and not panic when something breaks. I've always been careful with finances, got a budget tracker I've kept since I was 21. My buddy Dominic thinks that's obsessive. I think being broke is worse. Dominic matters in this story. Remember his name. We grew up on the same street, 3 houses apart. He's a plumber now, runs his own outfit, 3 trucks, a couple guys working for him. Started from nothing, same as me. Solid dude. The kind of friend who shows up with a truck when you need to move and doesn't ask why. We eat lunch together probably twice a week at this sandwich place halfway between our job sites. He gets the same thing every time. Italian sub, extra peppers, bag of chips. We're both creatures of habit. That's probably why we get along. He also records everything. Every invoice, every text, every conversation that might matter later. Got that habit from a lawsuit a client tried to pull on him 3 years ago. Homeowner claimed Dominic's crew damaged a floor they never even touched. He won because he had documentation going back 18 months. Photos, time-stamped messages, signed walkthrough sheets. Since then, his whole philosophy is, if it's not written down, it didn't happen. And he got me doing the same thing, which turned out to be the single most important habit of my entire life. I eat the same lunch every day at work. Turkey on wheat, bag of pretzels, an apple, water bottle. My coworker Paul calls it the saddest meal in Virginia. Paul eats gas station hot dogs and energy drinks for lunch, so I don't really take nutritional advice from him. But it works. Don't have to think about it. Jess. Met her at a friend's cookout about 4.5 years ago. She was finishing a business degree part-time while working at an insurance agency. Smart, ambitious, had this energy about her like she was always thinking 3 steps ahead. I liked that. She seemed like someone who had her stuff together and knew where she was going. We started dating and things moved fast. She was easy to be around at first, laughed at my dumb jokes, seemed to actually respect what I did. She'd say stuff like, "I love that you work with your hands," and "It's nice being with someone who's not trying to be something they're not." I took those at face value. Shouldn't have. About a year in, she moved into my house. My house. I bought it at 26, a 3-bedroom fixer on a quiet street. The kind of place that looks rough when you buy it, but has good bones if you know what to look for. I knew. Paid $168,000, below market because it needed everything. I did all the work myself, every bit of it. New HVAC system, obviously. I'm literally a licensed technician, wasn't about to pay someone else for that. Rewired the panel, redid the kitchen cabinets, built a deck off the back with cedar planking, refinished the hardwood floors myself over a long weekend that turned into 3 weekends because the dining room had about 4 layers of old finish that had to come off. Built a bed frame out of reclaimed oak as a project one winter. Spent about $35,000 in materials over 2 years. All labor was free because the labor was me. The house appraised at $290,000 after renovations. I owed $128,000 on the mortgage, nearly $160,000 in equity, most of it from my own hands. That mattered to me. A house I bought beat up and turned into something real. Jess moved in and the deal was simple. She'd pay $600 a month toward household expenses, groceries, utilities, that kind of thing. I covered the mortgage, insurance, property tax, maintenance. She was making less than me, so it seemed fair. She never complained. I never questioned it. What I didn't know was what was happening behind my back. How I found out. About 8 months ago, Jess got a job offer, regional coordinator position at a bigger insurance firm. Better title, better pay, better benefits. She was excited. I was genuinely happy for her. Took her out to dinner to celebrate. She deserved it. She'd been grinding on that degree while working full-time, and I'd watched her study at the kitchen table until midnight, more times than I could count. The new job meant a 6-week training period in Charlotte. She'd be staying in a company-provided apartment during the week and coming home on weekends. Fine. I've done long-distance service calls. I get it. Sometimes the work takes you somewhere. Here's where it gets bad. About 3 weeks into her training, Jess left her laptop open on the kitchen counter when she came home for the weekend. She was in the shower. I wasn't snooping. I was looking for the recipe she'd saved for the chili we were making that night. Opened the browser, and her email was right there. I should have closed it. I know that. But there was a thread with the subject line, "Drinks tonight?" from a name I didn't recognize, some guy named Corey, and something about it just made me stop. I read it. Then I read more. Then I couldn't stop reading. The emails with Corey were friendly, flirty, nothing physical that I could see, but the tone was way past professional. "Can't wait to see you tonight" type stuff. "You're the best part of this whole training thing." He was calling her future CEO, and she was eating it up. But the emails weren't the problem. The group chat was. Jess had a group chat with 4 of her friends. I found it in her messages app. And in that chat, going back months, way before Charlotte, she talked about me. Not like a girlfriend talks about her boyfriend, like a project manager talks about a temporary vendor. Owen's fine for now, but let's be honest, he's not endgame material. Once I get this coordinator role, I can start actually building my real life. Owen's just the stability phase. He's a nice guy, but I'm not going to be an HVAC wife forever, lol. I need someone who matches where I'm going. He literally fixes air conditioners for a living. It's fine for now, but come on. And the one that just, I still feel it in my chest when I think about it. Owen is my placeholder. Comfortable, reliable, pays for everything, but temporary. Always was. Placeholder. She called me her placeholder. 4 years, living in my house, eating food I paid for, sleeping in a bed I built the frame for. I literally built the bed frame out of reclaimed oak as a project one winter, and I was her placeholder. I sat on the kitchen floor for maybe 20 minutes reading through that chat. Every message worse than the last. Her friends responding with laugh emojis and "girl, you deserve better" and "just ride it out until you're set." Nobody pushed back. Nobody said, "Hey, maybe this guy who's supporting you while you get your degree deserves better than being called temporary." Not one of them. There was also a thread about the house. Jess had asked her friend Kayla, casually, like she was asking about a restaurant, whether she'd have any claim to the house if things ended. Kayla said probably not since her name wasn't on anything. Jess responded, "Ugh, 4 years and nothing to show for it. I should have pushed harder to get on the deed." She wanted my house that I bought and renovated with my own hands before I ever met her. She was trying to figure out how to take a piece of it on her way out the door. I closed the laptop. She came out of the shower, I made the chili, we ate dinner and watched a movie, and she fell asleep on my shoulder. And the whole time, I was running numbers in my head. What she owed, what was mine, what I needed to protect. Diesel engines don't lie to you. Neither do HVAC systems. Something's broken, you diagnose it, you fix it. This couldn't be fixed, but it could be handled. Called Dominic the next morning, told him everything. He listened for a long time. Then, "How much of your stuff is tangled up with hers?" That's Dominic, straight to the math. Edit. People saying I should have confronted her right there? Nah. What would that accomplish? She'd cry, apologize, promise to change, and then keep doing exactly what she was doing, but more carefully. Silence was the play, trust me. Edit 2. Yeah, I know I shouldn't have read her messages. I was looking for a chili recipe. Life comes at you fast sometimes. Owen is my placeholder. Comfortable, reliable, pays for everything, but temporary. She typed that. With her fingers. On a phone that Owen probably pays the bill for, while living in a house Owen built with his bare hands, sleeping in a bed frame he made out of reclaimed oak. Reclaimed oak. The man builds furniture, and she's calling him a placeholder. Honestly, I've read a lot of these stories, and that one hit different. But Owen didn't lose it. He called Dominic, and Dominic asked about the math, which means it's about to get very organized and very bad for Jess. Let's keep going. Update 1, posted 3 weeks later. Update, my girlfriend called me her placeholder. I didn't confront her. I started untangling everything instead. Quick recap for newcomers. Girlfriend of 4 years was calling me her placeholder behind my back, was getting flirty with some guy named Corey during her work training in Charlotte, and had been asking friends if she had any claim to my house. I found it all on her laptop. Didn't say a word. Here's what I did instead. The audit. Monday morning after that weekend, Jess went back to Charlotte for training. I took a half day at work and sat down at my kitchen table with every financial document I could find. The house was clean. My name only. Mortgage, deed, insurance, all me. Jess was never on any of it. She'd pushed once about a year ago to be added to the homeowner's insurance for safety reasons, and I'd said I'd look into it. Never did. Thank God. Joint stuff was minimal. We had a shared credit card for groceries and household expenses. I was the primary card holder. She was an authorized user. Balance was usually around $800 to $1,200. I'd been paying it off monthly. There was also a streaming account bundle and a couple subscriptions in my name that she used. But here's the thing that mattered. Over 4 years, I'd been covering way more than my share. Mortgage, property tax, insurance, maintenance, most of the groceries beyond what the shared card covered, utilities. Her $600 a month covered maybe 20% of the actual cost of living in that house. I ran the real numbers, and over 4 years, I'd basically subsidized about $40,000 worth of her living expenses beyond what she contributed. She was getting a life at wholesale prices and calling me temporary while she enjoyed the discount. Dominic came over Tuesday night, brought his laptop and a notebook. We went through everything together. "What's her name on?" he asked. "Nothing that matters. Credit card as an authorized user. That's it. Can you remove her?" One phone call. He nodded. "Don't do it yet. Don't change anything until she's fully committed to being gone. Let her transition herself out." That was the plan. Don't confront, don't argue, don't give her any reason to dig in or lawyer up or suddenly decide she wants to stay. Just let her keep moving towards Charlotte and Corey and her big career, and when she's finally out, close the door behind her. Dominic also had me screenshot everything from her laptop that weekend. The group chat, the emails with Corey, the conversation about the house, timestamps on all of it. If she ever tries to claim you kicked her out or blindsided her, you want proof that she was planning to leave the whole time. Her own words. The Charlotte thing. Jess came home on weekends during training, 3 more weekends after I found out, and I played it completely normal. Made dinner Friday nights, watched shows, talked about her training like I actually cared about office layouts and orientation schedules. She'd tell me about the new building and the people and how the regional coordinator role was exactly what she'd been working toward, and I'd nod and ask questions, and inside I was just running the clock, counting the days until she made the move herself. She mentioned Corey once, casually. We were eating breakfast Saturday morning and she just dropped it in there. There's this guy in the program who's really sharp, Corey. He's going for a director role. She said it the way you mention a coworker you barely know, but I knew what it actually was. I just said, "Cool, sounds like a good group," and changed the subject. She smiled and went back to her eggs. Actually, there was this one weekend where she came home and brought me a coffee mug from some Charlotte gift shop, said she saw it and thought of me. It had a picture of a wrench on it. I said thanks, put it in the cabinet, threw it away after she left Sunday night. Has nothing to do with anything, but I think about that mug sometimes. The gesture of it. Pretending everything was fine while she was texting her friends about how I was temporary, buying me a gift on the way out the door. That's a special kind of cold. Week 5 of training, she told me the company wanted to keep her in Charlotte full-time. Permanent position. She'd need to relocate. We were sitting on the couch and she muted the TV and turned to face me with her legs crossed. Very rehearsed setup. "I think this is the right move for me," she said. Careful, measured. "And I think maybe this is a natural transition point for us too." Natural transition point. She'd been workshopping that phrase. Probably practiced it in the mirror at the Charlotte apartment. I could tell because she said it a little too smoothly, like someone delivering a line they've memorized. I didn't fight it, didn't ask her to stay, didn't get emotional, just said, "Yeah, I think you're probably right." She looked surprised, genuinely, like she'd prepared for 20 minutes of pushback and tears and got nothing. "You're okay with this? If Charlotte's where you need to be, then that's where you should go. I want what's best for both of us." She actually teared up a little. "You're such a good guy, Owen." Yeah, the good guy, the placeholder, the guy who fixes air conditioners for a living. We agreed she'd move the rest of her stuff out over the next 2 weeks while she finalized the Charlotte apartment. 2 weeks. That's all I needed. Edit. Yes, I know I was technically performing for 3 weeks. You know what else is performing? Calling someone your placeholder while you live in their house and sleep in their bed. At least my performance had an exit strategy. Natural transition point. She rehearsed that. She had a whole speech prepared, and Owen just goes, "Yeah, probably right." And she short-circuited. She was ready for tears and begging and negotiation, and instead, she got a guy who agreed with her in under 5 seconds. Which, if you think about it, should have been the first red flag for Jess. When the person you're dumping seems relieved, that's not a good sign, babe. That's a countdown. Anyway, Owen's got 2 weeks, and Dominic's got a notebook. Let's see what happens. Update 2, posted 4 weeks later. Update 2, she moved to Charlotte for her fresh start. I used those 2 weeks to erase every trace of our shared life. She had no idea what was coming. For newcomers, girlfriend called me her placeholder behind my back for months, started getting cozy with the guy during work training, then broke up with me using the phrase natural transition point. I agreed immediately. She thought I was being mature. I was being strategic. Here's what happened during those 2 weeks. Week 1, Monday after the breakup conversation. Jess was in Charlotte. I took the day off. First call, credit card company. Removed Jess as an authorized user. Took about 12 minutes. The guy on the phone asked if I wanted to report the card lost and get a new number. I said yes. Done. Second call, canceled every shared subscription. Streaming, music, the meal kit thing she'd signed us up for that I never wanted, gym membership that was in my name but she used. All of it. Canceled or transferred to individual accounts. Third, changed the Wi-Fi password. Small thing, but it meant her devices wouldn't auto-connect if she came by. Dominic laughed when I told him, "That's petty." Yeah, a little. Felt good though. Changed the locks Wednesday. Not because I was worried she'd break in, more because I wanted a clean line. Old life, new locks. Dominic helped install them. Took maybe 40 minutes. He brought pizza after, and we ate it on the deck I'd built, and he goes, "You know what I keep thinking about? She was trying to figure out if she had a claim on this house that you built, with your hands, while she watched. While she studied for her degree at the kitchen table I refinished. Right, at the table you refinished. Unbelievable." The stuff Jess had left a decent amount of things. Clothes in the closet, bathroom stuff, some books, a few kitchen items, a blender, some fancy pots her mom gave her, personal things. I boxed everything. Carefully, I'm not a monster. Labeled each box with what was in it, stacked them neatly in the garage, took photos of every single box, contents visible before closing, sealed box with label showing, time-stamped. Dominic's rule: document everything. If she says you threw her stuff away or damaged it, you've got photos proving otherwise. 12 boxes total. 4 years and her whole footprint in my house fit in 12 medium boxes. Says something, right? The note this part I thought about for a while. I didn't want to be cruel. I didn't want to be dramatic. I just wanted to be clear. Wrote it on a plain note card. Left it on the kitchen counter. The same counter where I found her laptop open, which felt right. Jess, your things are boxed and labeled in the garage. Credit card removed. Subscriptions canceled. Locks changed. You said I was temporary, comfortable, reliable, and a placeholder. You said you weren't going to be an HVAC wife forever. Fair enough. Consider the transition complete. Good luck going solo. Owen. That was it. No anger, no insults, just facts, and her own words handed back to her. The accounts. This part was important. I went through our bank records and pulled every payment I'd made toward things that were jointly used, but solely in my name. The shared credit card. I'd been paying it off every month, usually $800 to $1,200. Over 4 years, that was roughly $48,000 in charges that I'd paid down, and she'd contributed maybe $15,000 of that through her monthly payment. I wasn't planning to go after the money. That wasn't the point. The point was having the records in case she tried to claim I owed her something. Dominic's philosophy: you don't bring a knife to a fight, you bring paperwork. I also documented the house value, got a quick appraisal from a buddy in real estate, $294,000 current value. Mortgage balance, $119,000. That's $175,000 in equity. All mine, all from my work. Jess never contributed a single dollar to the mortgage or the renovations. Her name was on nothing, and her claim was on nothing. By the end of week 2, every financial thread connecting us was cut. Cleanly, professionally, with documentation. Dominic looked at the folder when I was done and nodded. That's tight. She's got nothing to grab onto. Jess comes back. She showed up on Saturday to get her stuff. Pulled into the driveway in a rental car. I was inside, but I watched from the kitchen window. Dominic had told me not to be there when she arrived, but I wanted to see it. Not in a revenge way, more like I needed to watch the door close, if that makes sense. She tried her key first, it didn't work. She tried it again, slower, like maybe she'd put it in wrong. Then she pulled it out and just stood there looking at the door for a few seconds. I could see her face, and there was this moment, confusion turning into something else. Realization, maybe. She called me. I answered. Owen, my key doesn't work. I changed the locks. What? Why? Your stuff is in the garage. Code is 4720. Everything's boxed and labeled. Silence. Then, can I come inside? I just want to talk for a minute. There's nothing of yours inside, Jess. Everything's in the garage. I watched her walk to the garage, punch in the code. The door went up and she saw the boxes. 12 of them stacked neatly, every one labeled. She stood there for a second, just looking at them. 4 years in 12 boxes. She found the note while she was loading. I know because my phone lit up about 10 minutes later. 7 missed calls in a row. Then the texts started. Are you serious right now? You read my messages? That's a violation of my privacy, Owen. Those were private conversations. You had no right. I was venting to my friends. That's what people do. It didn't mean anything. You're blowing this way out of proportion. And then about an hour later, after it sank in, wait, you canceled the credit card? How am I supposed to pay for stuff? With your own money, Jess, the way placeholders have been doing it for you for 4 years. I didn't respond to any of it, screenshotted everything, sent it to Dominic. He read it all and just goes, the privacy argument, classic. She violated your trust for 4 years, and you're the bad guy for finding out? Edit. A lot of people asking about Corey, more on him in the final update. It's pretty good. Edit 2. For everybody saying the note was cold, yeah, it was. But you know what's colder? Calling someone your placeholder for 4 years while they build you a life. The note was honest. That's more than she ever gave me. You read my messages? That's a violation of my privacy. Ma'am, you violated this man's entire reality for 4 years. You called him temporary while sleeping in a bed he built out of reclaimed oak. You tried to figure out if you could take his house, and now you're upset about privacy? That's like robbing someone's house and then complaining they changed the locks, which actually is literally what just happened. She tried her key and it didn't work. Beautiful. Chef's kiss. All right, final update. Corey makes an appearance and it does not go well for him either. Final update posted 5 weeks after original final update. She called me her placeholder. I helped her leave. Now she's in Charlotte with nothing, and I'm doing better than ever. Last one, Reddit. Here's the ending. Jess goes public. Within a week of getting her stuff, she went full smear campaign. Social media posts, vague but obvious, about toxic men who punish you for being honest with your friends. One of her friends, Kayla, wrote something about men who can't handle a strong woman outgrowing them. Another one posted about emotional manipulation disguised as maturity. A third shared some quote graphic about how real men don't play games, which was rich coming from someone who'd been cheering Jess on while she called me temporary for months. None of them mentioned the 4 years of free housing, or the credit card I'd been paying off, or the fact that she was calling me her placeholder while I was supporting her through a degree at a kitchen table I'd refinished with my own hands. Just, poor Jess, look what Owen did. A couple mutual friends reached out to me asking what happened. I sent 3 of them, the ones I actually trusted, screenshots of the group chat. Her own words. Didn't add commentary, didn't editorialize, just the messages with timestamps. 2 of them responded within the hour. Holy, I had no idea. One of them, a guy named Vince, who I'd been friends with since high school, called me directly and said he was done with Jess entirely. She sat at your table and smiled at you while typing that stuff on her phone. That's not venting. That's something else entirely. The third person I sent it to never responded. Probably showed it to Jess. I genuinely don't care at this point. Corey. This part's funny. Or sad. Depends how you look at it. Jess moved to Charlotte full-time. Got her apartment. Started the permanent position. And she and Corey started dating, if you can call it that. It lasted about 6 weeks. Found out through a mutual friend who still followed Jess on social media. Apparently Corey was, how do I put this, a lot less impressive when you're not in a training bubble together. The director role he was going for didn't get it. Got passed over and threw a fit about it at work that apparently became office gossip for a solid 2 weeks. He was also, according to what filtered back to me, the kind of guy who talked about money constantly but never seemed to have any. Drove a leased car he couldn't really afford, rented a place that ate most of his paycheck. Big plans, big ideas, big talk, no follow-through. Sound familiar? Jess traded the guy who fixed things with his hands for the guy who talked about fixing things with his mouth. The end-game material she was looking for turned out to be a dude who couldn't close a promotion and couldn't commit to a relationship in the same month. Last I heard, Corey moved on to somebody else at the company, and Jess found out through a coworker at lunch. She posted something cryptic online about people who waste your time, which, and I cannot stress this enough, was the most ironic thing I'd ever seen on the internet. Jess, complaining about someone wasting her time, after spending 4 years wasting mine, while I was probably at home fixing my garbage disposal or something. The phone call. About 3 weeks after the Corey thing fell apart, Jess called me. First direct contact since the garage day. I almost didn't pick up, but I figured, might as well. One last conversation, close the loop. Owen, I think I made a huge mistake. Okay? I was stressed and scared about the career stuff, and I said things I didn't mean. You were the best thing in my life, and I didn't see it until it was gone. You called me your placeholder, Jess, multiple times, over months, to multiple people. You told your friends I was the stability phase. You said you weren't going to be an HVAC wife forever. That's not stress talking. That's what you actually thought. I was insecure. I was comparing myself to my friends who were with guys in business and finance, and I felt embarrassed that my boyfriend fixed air conditioners. Silence. A long one. I didn't mean it like that. Yeah, you did, and honestly, that's fine. People are allowed to want what they want, but you don't get to come back from it. I'm not a rest stop, Jess. I'm not the guy you circle back to when the upgrade doesn't work out. She started crying. Said she'd been struggling in Charlotte. The job was harder than she expected. The apartment was expensive. She didn't know anyone outside of work. The city felt different when you weren't in a training group with built-in social stuff. She missed the house. She missed the routine. She missed the house. Not me. The house. My house. The one she was trying to figure out how to claim a piece of while calling me temporary. The one I built with my own hands while she studied for a degree at the kitchen table I refinished. I told her I wished her well and that I meant it, but that we were done. She asked if we could stay friends. I said no. Not out of anger. There just wasn't any point. You can't be friends with someone who saw you as furniture, comfortable, functional, replaceable. Hung up. Sat on my deck for a while. It was early evening, and you could hear the neighbors' kids playing down the street and a lawnmower somewhere and a dog barking about 3 houses over. Just a normal, quiet evening. The kind of evening I used to share with someone who didn't think it was enough. Where I'm at house is mine. Clean, quiet. I rearranged the living room and built new floating shelves for the wall where her photos used to hang. Spent a Saturday refinishing the guest room door that had been bugging me for months. Small stuff that adds up. Got a raise at work 3 weeks ago. Lead tech. Boss said I'd been the most consistent guy on the crew, and he wanted someone reliable running the bigger commercial jobs. I told him consistency was kind of my whole thing. Dominic took me fishing last weekend. River spot about 40 minutes outside the city that his uncle showed us when we were kids. We caught nothing. Sat there for 3 hours throwing lines into brown water and pulling back empty hooks. And honestly, it was one of the best afternoons I've had in months. There's something about sitting next to somebody who doesn't need you to talk. Just being there, watching the water move. At some point he looked over and goes, "You know what the best part of all this is? You didn't have to do anything mean. You just stopped being convenient." He's right. I didn't slash tires, didn't go on social media, didn't send her messages to her employer or her family. I just stopped providing the life she was taking for granted and let the absent speak for itself. Turns out when you remove the placeholder, the whole structure falls down. Who knew? And there's someone. Her name's Ray. She's an electrician. Commercial and residential. Same as me, but different trade. Met her at a supply house about a month ago. She was arguing with the counter guy about wire gauge for a panel upgrade, and she was right and he was wrong, and I told him so. She looked at me and goes, "Finally, someone who speaks code." We grabbed coffee after, talked for an hour and a half about work, about tools, about the worst job sites we'd ever been on. She told me about growing up helping her dad do residential wiring, and how she got her license at 24, and people still ask her if she's the secretary when she shows up to job sites. She's funny, direct, doesn't take herself too seriously, but takes her work very seriously. And she's never once made me feel like what I do is less than. Because she does the same kind of work, and she knows what it's worth. She knows what it takes. Oh, one thing that still bugs me. When I was redoing the living room after Jess left, I found a photo tucked behind the bookcase. Must have slipped back there at some point and nobody noticed. Me and Jess from our first year together. Some festival we went to on a Saturday afternoon. She's laughing in it, and I've got my arm around her, and we both look, I don't know, happy. Real happy. Like two people who didn't know what was coming. I stared at it for a while, put it in a drawer, didn't throw it away. Can't really explain why. Probably never will. Anyway, house is quiet, deck looks good, got a date Friday, life's good. Edit. People asking about Ray. She saw the oak bed frame I built and asked me to teach her joinery. Third date is this weekend. I think I'm in trouble. Edit 2. Dominic update. He texted me this morning asking if I'd changed the Wi-Fi password on my new router yet. I said yes. He said good. Never give it out again. The man treats Wi-Fi passwords like state secrets. We don't deserve Dominic, but we're lucky to have him. And that's where this one ends. You know what gets me? Jess called Owen a placeholder. Comfortable, reliable, temporary. And she meant it as an insult, like those were bad things. Like the guy who pays the bills and fixes the house and builds you a bed out of reclaimed oak is somehow the boring option, the stepping stone, the thing you tolerate until something shinier comes along. And then the shinier thing turned out to be Corey, a guy who couldn't get promoted and couldn't keep a girlfriend and couldn't stop talking about money he didn't have. Funny how that works. So if you enjoyed today's story, and I very much enjoyed reading it to you, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. All the links are in the description below. Thank you guys for watching. It really does mean a lot that you spend your time here with us. So thank you again, and having said all that, I will see you in the next one. Peace.